Good morning and welcome everyone. We are starting with a welcome address by our CEO, Mr. Nitin Jain. Nitin, good morning, welcome, and over to you.
Thank you, Sahil, and a very good morning to all of you. First of all, I must thank you for being part of our flagship Edelweiss Emerging Ideas Conference, this time completely in a virtual avatar. And it is with pleasure and a sense of anticipation that I invite you today to be part of something that is really special for us. Year after year, our endeavor has been to weave together a highly interactive, insightful, and engaging event for all stakeholders. Uh, this conference over the years has been like a flame, uh, kindling a flurry of ideas and adding great value to all our clients, professional investors, and companies that have participated. And we are completely committed to nurture this platform as an ecosystem of great ideas, inquisitive minds, and very actionable outcomes. Uh, the pandemic of 2020 has been one of epic proportions. On one hand, it's a disaster of enormous magnitude where we have lost more than 1 million lives, and a lot of tragedies that we have been personally exposed to are quite discomforting. In hindsight, we were quite ill prepared for a pandemic that was a disaster waiting to happen. Sometimes we also question the role of authorities, uh, their proactiveness, their decisiveness in decision making, and sometimes even their commitment to action. But if you ask me, a few years down the line, I do believe when we will look back, we might not see this only as a failure. In fact, we might see this as one of the greatest examples of human resilience in our history. In fact, year 2020 uh, might also be called as a catalyst for a remarkable transformation in our evolution. Just look around us. I think we have probably never felt the need as much of the harmony with Mother Nature. We've all experienced how clean our skies can be with less pollution, how beautiful our neighborhoods can look with less cars. We have all probably seen our relationships with friends and family in a new perspective. And maybe we value it a lot more than what we have ever done earlier. We have talked about digital transformation for a very long time, but we have really felt it in the last 5 6 months. Whether it is online education for our kids, whether it is payments for groceries, whether it is UPI transactions, whether it is the virtual conference, or whether it is work from home. And these are not fleeting changes. These are changes that are going to affect us very fundamentally and have altered human behavior forever. To be fair, when this crisis started, as a research house, we were quite concerned about the negative impact of this pandemic of the Indian economy. One, uh, we were anyways not in good shape, right? Our economy was slowing down. There were concerns around some financial institutions, liquidity, and solvency of a couple of banks and NBFCs. And in that environment, pandemic struck. And second, we are a country which is quite densely populated. We have a poor health infrastructure. Our per capita incomes are very low. We did feel that a few miscalculation and missteps can be a disaster for the economy. But to be honest, we have never been so wrong, and and we have never been happier for being so wrong. When we look around ourselves and we see how Indians, and India Inc. have bounced back, we are just absolutely awestruck. Um, I think the most of the country has started to normalize. We have tested more than 150 million people for COVID, probably only second to US. Our fatality ratios are now closer to 1% from a high of 4.5%. And by and large, I think people have behaved, and the reopening of the country and the economy has been reasonably smooth, except for a few pockets here and there. Indian consumer is back. Unbelievable. I think last November we did more home sales in Mumbai than what we have ever done in the last 8 to 10 years. The online festive sales this year were up 56% year on year. And if you slice that data, you will see that from tier 3 and tier 4 cities, the sales were up 100%. We're selling more iPhones, we're selling more cars, we're selling more tractors. Yes, some of it might be pent up demand, but whichever way you look at the data, I don't think any of us could have anticipated this kind of bounce back. Indian corporates are back and are raring to go. Uh, the, the manufacturing PMI is at 59. Uh, when we looked at the results of the second quarter, which was still in the middle of a reasonably strong lockdown, uh, even though the sales were down by around 7% on the listed universe I'm talking about, uh, most companies had managed to increase their EBITDA margins by becoming leaner, sharper, cost efficiencies had come up, and actually the net EBITDA for the listed universe inched up a little bit. And this is reflected in the market. Uh, from the lows of 7,500 on Nifty to what we are seeing is an all-time high. Capital flows have never been stronger. I mean, last month in November, we saw around $9 billion of FII flows, which is one of the highest ever, if not the highest. Balance sheets are becoming less levered. And when we talk to promoters, for the first time again, after a long time, we are starting to see signs that people are willing to invest. Uh, Despite the skepticism and the negative talk that I hear a lot of times, I do think that capex cycle is just around the corner. We would be surprised by the uptick. And finally, I would like to call out one specific individual, a person that I personally respect, Mr. Adar Poonawala. He's also been named as one of the 5 Asians of the Year by Straits Times this year because of his efforts in the fight against pandemic. He has committed $250 million from his family fortune into ramping up the institution's capacity in this fight. His conviction, courage, resolve, and focus on this regard is something that we just salute. So thank you, Mr. Poonawala. And on that positive note, I just wish everyone have a great conference, happy learning, happy investing, and have a great new year. Thank you so much.